Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, now here I am to start off these reviews for the sequels to my list last year for the top 10 best live action Disney films. And I'm gonna be making these reviews for these sequels in the order of like the list that I made last year. So from like the number 10 spot to the number 1 spot for the movies I did last year, this is how I'm gonna be making all these reviews. Like from the number 10 spot, I'll be reviewing the sequel first, and then yeah, pretty much like as the list goes down for every movie that I had in the list last year that had a sequel, I'll review like the sequels for those films, like just as the list like goes back up, like from number 10 to number 1. So yeah, so here I am to start off these reviews. So last year in the countdown I did have a Air Bud on the list. So yeah, here I am with the review for what I have for what I think the best sequel is for Air Bud, which is Air Bud Golden Receiver. So yeah, this was the first sequel to Air Bud, and really this film I really didn't. I'm not really a big fan of this film. I mean, yeah, I'll have a link for my review for the first film down in the description if you want to watch that. Yeah, for all of these reviews I do for the sequels, I'll like have the link for my review for the first film down in the description, and if you want to watch my review for the first film. So yeah, and yeah, I really was not a big fan of this film at all. I mean, like I told you guys in the uh, my review for the first film last year, if you've seen that, you, I did say that I really have not been crazy about any of the Air Bud sequels, and yeah, Air Bud has had like a million sequels. Yeah, I mean they've had so many. I mean, yeah, this was the first one, Golden Receiver, and then they had World Pup, they had Seventh Inning Fetch, they had Spike's Back, and then after that, then that's when they like started the Air Buddies series, which has had like so many films also, which I'm not even gonna list them off. So yeah, but there's been a lot of Air Buddy movies, and so yeah, I haven't watched like every Air Bud sequel. I mean, yeah, like I said, there's just so many. I mean, the Air Bud movies are like the Pokemon movies. There's just like so many. Like you can't even count how many there are. So yeah, so yeah, I really was not too big on this sequel, but yeah, compared to like the other ones, like the other ones like have like I really wasn't a fan of like the other like Air Bud sequels, and the Air Buddy movies I like only watched like one or two of them. So yeah, I really haven't really been big on any of them. Like the first Air Bud is really the only one that I actually like. So yeah, this film I really didn't care for it very much. I mean, just this film as I was watching this film, and even like the times that I have watched it before, like I've watched this film like a few times. I mean, none of the sequels I really have like watched regularly, like I have the first film. But yeah, this is the one that I probably have watched the most. And yeah, when I've watched this movie, like when I see it, like I just pretty much just see like stuff from the first film all over again. I mean, this film is just like this film is just like loaded with all a bunch of stuff we had already seen before in the first film. I mean, it's like just going from like as the movie goes on, just like going from scene to scene, like noticing things from the first film. Like I noticed in this film, like throughout it, they like kept using like stock footage from the first film in this, which I like any time I like was seeing that, I just like said, "Oh, there's another one." So yeah, that's that. And yeah, it's basically like the same premise of this film as it was for the first film. How it's just showing that Buddy is good at sports. I mean, yeah. In this film, they change it up. In the first film, it was basketball, and in this film, it's football that's played. And yeah, for like the Air Bud films, like if you know this series, you know that each and every film, like it's just showing that Buddy can play a different sport, and every film is like set on a different sport. Like first film was basketball, this film was football, World Pup was a soccer, Seventh Inning Fetch was baseball, and then Spike's Back was volleyball. So yeah, and I think that's probably like one of the reasons why they ended up like changing it to the Air Buddy series, because they were probably just like running out of sports that Buddy could play. I think like after this, the only sport that Buddy could really play after this was hockey. So yeah, that's probably why they ended up like changing up the series and giving it a different turn with the Air Buddy series. So yeah, and yeah, I guess man, I just really didn't like this film very much at all. I mean, Is it awful? No, I really don't think it's awful, but like I said, it's just really just filled with just like stuff like pretty much just reminding people of the first film. I really do think like none of these Air Bud sequels really had any reason to really exist. I mean, all these sequels just seem like really pointless. I mean, it's just pretty much like every film is really just the exact same concept with Buddy just playing a sport and just like helping the team like who's not really very good come back and like be very good and win in the championship. So yeah, pretty much every Air Bud film does have this premise. So yeah, I just really am not a fan with them like just repeating the same thing over and over. I mean, it's one thing for a movie, a sequel, to really like have a similar plot to the first film, but when they just like completely like repeat pretty much the same thing, I mean, why? What's even the point? Like, what's like? There's like no originality to really bring people to come back. I mean, and I think really people just really got tired of seeing the same stuff over and over, which is why like as these films went on, they did like get progressively like a worse reception for each and every one. So yeah, none of these like just the sequels just kept getting like worse and worse for people as they seem to go on. I think. So yeah, and yeah, you do have like I'm not really sure like how long after the first film that this film does take place, but yeah, you do have like Kevin Zegers did return for the role of Josh, and you also have the same actor who played Josh's friend Tom in the first film. He returned also, and yeah, they're really like the only two returning actors, and the same dog Buddy ended up returning, and yeah, this was like this film was ended up like being dedicated to him because like before this film was released, the dog who played Buddy ended up like dying from synovial sarcoma, which was like a rare cancer affecting soft tissues and joints and stuff. So yeah, this film ended up being dedicated to him. So yeah, but yeah, like pretty much everybody else like this film is just like has a different cast. Like they ended up like recasting Josh's mom in this film, and yeah, his sister Andrea ended up being uh, played by a different girl also. And yeah, we also like in this film we do have like a Josh's mom gets a love interest in this film who's like a part-time vet for Buddy, played by Gregory Harrison. We like there's Josh's football coach, played by Robert Costanzo. Oh, and we also do have these two Russians who like run a circus, played by Nora Dunn and Perry Anzalotti. So yeah, it's basically like full of a different cast, as aside from like Josh and Tom. And so yeah, and really just one of the reasons I really don't like this film is just because really for me like just seeing like Buddy playing football, really I just feel like that's not believable. I mean, I mean, I guess like you can kind of like give it some belief in the first film you seeing him play basketball because basketball really just it's not really like a real physical sport like it's really just like playing over the ball and there's not really any like any physical contact in basketball really. But here, I mean, football is like a much physical sport, and it just seemed like really dangerous to really put a dog in this situation. I mean, even in this film, like Josh tells Buddy that it's just too dangerous for him to play football, and when we see really what goes on in this film, just like how physical and violent it can really get, and there's even a point in this film where Buddy ends up being attacked by an opposing player. So this just seemed really dangerous. And plus, just seeing Buddy like play football, like it's just like showing Buddy as like a receiver, and he ends up like running across the field to the end zone and stuff. I just feel like that really doesn't make sense because, I mean, you're telling me that none of the players of the opposing team can actually like catch up to a dog. I mean, really? So yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And yeah, just because this film, just the premise of this and the thought of like Buddy playing football rather than basketball, that just really doesn't make a lot of sense. And so yeah, that's like something that I just really cannot look past. I mean, it's just really hard to suspend the disbelief for that, for this. And so yeah, it's plus also like we got that stuff with like uh the stuff between the vet and Josh's mom in this, and just as this film goes on, it just shows that Josh really does not like his mom seeing another guy, and and he just becomes like jealous and stuff, and just doesn't want her to fall in love with the guy. And I talked about this before, like back last year when I reviewed Blame Before Time movies, when I was reviewing the 11th film. You remember, like I was talking about the stuff with like Sarah's father, like falling in love with a female Triceratops and stuff, and how Sarah really was jealous and stuff. Just, I really hate these subplots. I just cannot stand the stuff where the kid ends up getting jealous and stuff and just really just does not want the parent to fall in love with another person. I just really cannot stand this subplot. I mean, I understand, like, in this film, like, it's reminded us that Josh's dad died, so I guess, like, Josh is just, like, saying that he really just doesn't want his dad replaced, but come on, don't you still want your parent to be happy and still fall in love with somebody else? I mean, and the love interest can still be a really nice person, just like in this film. Patrick, he's an overall, like, he's a nice guy, so I just really don't see why Josh is so jealous and why he doesn't want his mom to fall in love. And I just really cannot stand these subplots at all. So yeah, that's something else that I hate about this film. So yeah, I just really not a whole lot in this film that really does capture my interest, really. I mean, the only thing, I mean, I guess, like, something that I do kind of like is the stuff with the two Russians. And just, I guess the stuff with them is kind of funny. Like, in this film, like, they're trying to capture Buddy because they have, like, a circus and they're looking for a main attraction. And after learning about what Buddy can do, they, like, want to capture Buddy to use him as a main attraction. And so throughout this film, they're just, like, trying to capture Buddy, and they just get into a bunch of hijinks and stuff. I guess that stuff is kind of funny, but I mean, nothing else really does, like, really he, like, is really anything to write about. So yeah, this film just it really just does not tell the story it is as well as the first film did. So yeah, I just really cannot really say that this is, like, a really good film at all. I mean, I really can't say that I really think it is a absolutely terrible film, but it's really just, it's nothing spectacular. So yeah, I would give this film, I don't know, 2 stars out of 4. I mean, yeah, like I said, just, it really doesn't make a lot of sense with seeing Buddy play a football. The stuff with Josh being an asshole to the his mom's love interest, I hate it, and yeah, just pretty much seeing just basically a bunch of stuff reused from the first film. Just, this really doesn't really do anything for me, really, at least not a whole lot. So yeah, so let me just get right into it. I'm probably just gonna skim through it because I really do not really have a whole lot to say about it. So, as the film starts off, it does show that Josh and Buddy still do play basketball a lot, and it showed as Josh, his mom, and sister went to, like, another basketball game. I don't know if it was an NBA game or something, but yeah, Joe Buddy ended up, like, sneaking with them, and then yeah, he ended up just running onto the court and then just, like, pretty much doing what we saw in the first film. Yeah, and then yeah, Buddy just ended up, like, ending up on, like, the sports news and stuff. Yeah, and then yeah, those two Russian circus people then, like, saw it on TV, and so that's when they decided to capture Buddy. Yeah, and then yeah, Josh ended up bringing, like, Buddy to the vet where he did meet the, like, I guess he was, like, a part-time vet filling in Patrick Sullivan, and then yeah, he, like, ended up, like, having an attachment to Buddy, like, immediately and stuff, and so then yeah, then Josh's mom was, like, starting to, like, meet other men to start dating, but yeah, none of them really did seem to really, like, catch with her very well, until, like, she ended up coming across Patrick one day near a boat dock. Yeah, and then yeah, they ended up just, like, liking each other right away and then started to date. And at first it wasn't really too big on Josh, but then after he saw, like, Patrick really was just, like, spending time with his mom every day, yeah, that's when he, like, started to grow some jealousy, and Tom was, like, having an interest in trying out for football, and then just to get away from Patrick a little bit and not have to see him with his mom every day, Josh decided to join in with him, and so then yeah, Josh and Tom then tried out for the football team, and they ended up making it onto the team, and yeah, Josh ended up, like, forming kind of a connection with the coach. I mean, yeah, it's kind of similar to, like, how Josh was able to form a connection with Cheney in the first film, and yeah, whatever happened to Arthur Cheney? I mean, is he still the basketball coach? Like, we don't even see him at all in this film. So yeah, yeah, and then eventually, like, it's shown that Buddy could actually play football because yeah, Josh was, like, tossing the ball and Buddy was able to catch it, and so then and yeah, Josh then was starting to play football with Buddy, and, like, in, like, an actual football game, game for Josh. Then like as during the game, like Buddy ended up like following Josh. Well, ended up like making it to the field after like evading those two Russians. And yeah, Buddy just ended up like running onto the field and then just yeah doing the same thing again. And then yeah, the coach and the other players were impressed that Buddy was actually able to play real well. And so then now Josh then like made a special uniform for Buddy, and then yeah, basically like convincing the coach that Buddy could be another player on the team since the coaches said he was always looking for new players, and yeah, the coach then agreed after seeing Buddy play well, and then like during practice it showed Buddy really was one of the better members of the team, and then yeah, the coach then just like labeled Buddy as a golden receiver, like kind of like a similar to a golden retriever, yeah. and and yeah, throughout this, and then eventually, like, at one point, like, Patrick ended up being offered a full-time job in San Diego, and, like, he would have to leave, and because, like, these films are in Fernfield, which is, like, somewhere in Washington, I believe. Yeah. And, yeah, Patrick was, like, skeptical on whether or not to actually take the job since he loved Josh's mom. And then at one point, then like as Patrick was about to propose to Josh's mom, Josh then saw it, and Josh just didn't like it at all. And then yeah, that night Josh then decided to run away, and he left Buddy behind. And then that's when Buddy ended up being captured by the two Russians. And as Josh then was like going to run away to San Francisco on a train, but then after like Josh's coach then saw him at the station, the coach was just having a talk with Josh about like, just because Patrick is in his life now, he doesn't really have to stop caring about his father, and that Patrick will never be able to replace Josh's dad. And so then that then convinced Josh to come back home, and he got a ride from his coach. But yeah, and then when Josh returned home, then he like saw that well, his mom told him that Patrick decided to take the job and he was going to leave the next day. And it also, Josh saw that Buddy was gone. And yeah, Josh and his mom couldn't find Buddy. And then yeah, Josh and the team ended up being forced to just play their championship game that they made to with the help of Buddy, just like in the first film, of course. They then were like just forced to play without Buddy, just like in the first film. Yeah, you see the pattern here? Yeah. And then like during the game, just yeah, Josh and the team just were not playing very good at all, and then they were just like losing really bad. And then like in the Natalia and Polpovs, who were the Russians, and like in their hideout or whatever, like Buddy then like was able to like escape from them with the help of like the other animals that they captured. And yeah, they ended up like giving chase to Buddy as Buddy was running away, and then Buddy ended up like running into Patrick, and Patrick was able to save Buddy. And then yeah, the Russians then ended up just being arrested and placed in the custody of the Russian embassy. And yeah, I should also say like another thing, just like in the first film, that they were chasing Buddy like they're when they were like coming to like an edge leading into the water, they were like trying to pull on their brakes, but the brakes were like shot out, just like in the first one with Snively. And so yeah, their van ended up like colliding, hiding, and then they ended up like flying out and into the fishing vessel, just like in the first film. And so then yeah, Patrick ended up bringing Buddy back to the game, and so then yeah, Buddy of course then helped the team then catch up. And yeah, the Timberwolves were just about tied with the other team, but then yeah, something that this film actually did do differently was before the team actually did like actually fully catch up, Buddy ended up like being injured after another player just ended up like splashing right on top of Buddy. And so then Buddy had to be taken out of the game. So yeah, I guess that's something. That's a neat change. How Buddy actually was like forced to be pulled out of the game. So like it kind of like made people think that maybe like it couldn't actually complete their comeback, and they may actually like end up coming a few things short, and they would have lost. But yeah, the Timberwolves then like they ended up like finishing the game without Buddy. And when it came to, they got down to like a fourth down, and then yeah, Josh then was able to like th- throw the ball all the way across the end zone, and Tom was able to catch it. So yeah, the Timberwolves ended up winning the championship. Yeah, and then the next day, as Patrick was like setting off on his boat, to leave for San Diego, then like Josh then like caught Patrick before he was able to leave, and then yeah, Josh was just then asking Patrick to stay, and then yeah, they embraced with each other, and so then yeah, Patrick then like stayed with Josh and his family, and so then yeah, and then the film just ended with them like attending a Seahawks game, and then yeah, it showed once again Buddy just running onto the field and catching a football that was thrown in the air, and yeah, that's how the film ended. So yeah, the fact that they did this thing with Buddy, like running onto the field or the court, whatever, 3 times in this film, that's like something that I feel was just kind of overload. So yeah, so yeah, I'm really not big on this film. 2 stars out of 4, like I said. I mean, it just really got so tedious just seeing this film, just doing the so many things that the first film had did, and they just repeat them over and over and over again. And plus, the story really isn't that good. I hate the stuff with Josh and Chelsea and stuff. Just yeah, this film really does not have a whole lot to really like write home about. And yeah, I'm just not a fan of this film, and not a fan of really any of the Air Bud sequels. So would I recommend this film? No. I really would just say stick to the first film, because the first film at least was at least trying to do something good, and it did succeed to an extent, I think, and it was at least good enough for me, and I did get enjoyment out of the first film. But here, no, don't really like turn to the sequels and really be expecting the same thing that the first film did, because none of them do any of that. So yeah, not a very good film, not for me. And I really don't think a lot of other people really liked it either, because yeah, this film actually really didn't even make like its budget back. So yeah, this film ended up like being a box office failure as well. So yeah, really just a lot of people really do feel the same way I do about it, I would say. So yeah, not really a good film. So yeah, so that's all I would have to say about it. So that's it for my review of Air Bud Golden Receiver. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and so yeah, I may be back a little bit later on to review one you like the next sequel that I would have for these films. So yeah, stay tuned for that coming up. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.